Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this, our third ACG Watch Party. My name is Matt Hinsley, and I'm Executive Director of Austin Classical Guitar. It means so much to have you with us tonight for this really special occasion. On behalf of all of us here at ACG, I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy, and that you are finding reasons to smile each and every day, hopefully a lot of reasons to smile each and every day. And hopefully this will be one of them, and this will be a great opportunity to share this experience with others as well, and just think about the beauty that is represented by the program that we're going to see tonight, and the fact that it was built right here in our community, in Austin, Texas, with many hands and many hearts and many ideas working together. We're just so excited to share it with you tonight. The way it's going to work is we are going to watch a feature film. It's an hour long. It's Austin Classical Guitar's very first feature film called Dream. And we are going to hear from some of the creators and some of the contributors along the way. And they're actually going to kind of like a director's commentary like you would have on a DVD extra, if you remember those. And then anytime you want, you can be adding comments and questions to the chat. And then after the feature, we will get to those questions. So stick around and you'll get some of those questions answered. So there's a chat function probably right over there on your screen right next to this video, and you can chime in with your comments as we go, and we'll be monitoring those along the way. Like I said, this is the third of 3 watch parties that we've done so far. We're actually going to be doing more in the future, so stay tuned and come back and see us again. We have some other online concerts and other kinds of experiences as well. So we look forward to sharing those with you. If you would like to see the past 2 watch parties that we did one on Flamenco India, which was a super exciting KLRU TV special. We did another one on Sing Me a Lullaby, which was another KLRU TV special, both on different aspects of Austin Classical Guitar. You can find those on our website anytime. And in fact, this show that we do tonight will live on here on YouTube, and that link will also be at our website, austinclassicalguitar.org. On our best day here at Austin Classical Guitar, we help make people's lives better. We help inspire individuals in our community through experiences of all kinds that relate to music and beauty and culture and expression. That happens in the classroom. We've had the good fortune of working in many, many different environments. It happens through great music making on the stage. And what I love about what we're going to experience tonight, this movie, Dream, is that it brings all of those things together into one experience. It brings the people that we've met, our work in education, are listening to different voices from throughout the community, great artistry and new composition all into one place. And it's just such a rich experience. And here to guide us through it are 5 really special guests that are going to introduce the experience to you as you're having it. And the first of those is Joe Williams. Joe is our artistic director at Austin Classical Guitar. There's Joe. And Joe is also our composer in residence and has been composing with us at Austin Classical Guitar since 2011. Joe, that's almost 10 years.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. So excited to be here with you, Matt, and to be with our collaborators and get to talk about this pretty amazing piece.
Can't wait to experience it and share with everybody. Also with us is our education director, Travis Marcum. Travis also directs our music and healing programs and has been a partner with me and at Austin Classical Guitar since 2006. Travis, we're coming up on 15 together. I think we're going to have to take a trip or something like that.
Let's celebrate. Yeah.
Well, it's very so. Travis and Joe really are the artistic directors of this entire project. And as Joe will probably say, this existed before it was a movie as a live show, and they were the ones that directed that. There is a third director that I need to introduce you to, however, and that is our film director. and his name is Alonso Lujan. And so Alonso took this amazing music, Joe's beautiful ideas, and the ideas that Travis elicited from the entire project and from the young people we spoke with, and turned it into the visual experience that we're going to have tonight. Alonso, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very excited to be here with you guys and with everyone who's joining us to share this this really special work.
Phenomenal. Thank you, Alonso. Lennox Collex is with us tonight. Lennox has been a member of our youth orchestra forever. And isn't that right, Lennox?
Yes, since the very beginning.
Since the very beginning. And Dream, this project, was about listening to young people's perspectives and ideas and voices. And so Lennox was a participant in this program and has been a participant in many of the different things that ACG has done as a guitarist as well. So Lennox, really looking forward to your thoughts and comments on this show tonight as we go through.
Thank you.
And our final guest is Isaac Bustos, Dr. Bustos. Isaac is an amazing guitar player, one of our great friends. If you've been around ACG programming over the years, then you've seen Isaac Bustos perform as a soloist, as a member of the Texas Guitar Quartet as well. And very importantly, he has been, along with Alejandro Montiel, the two guitarists that have been in every one of three critical programs that we've developed in the last 3 years that all relate, one of which was Dream, but before Dream came I, We, and after that came Together. And so Isaac, you've really seen all of this, and so we're excited to hear your thoughts tonight. We might have to unmute that mic to hear those thoughts, though.
oh, there we go. Well, thank you so much, Matt. It's been an honor and a privilege to be part of this, to be all of these productions, but this one in particular. So I am excited to share it with all of you here and with everybody else watching at home.
Dynamite. Thank you. Well, this is the whole team. I think we're just about ready to go. I would like to say very briefly, thank you. Thank you to all of you watching. Thank you to the 5 of you here. There were a lot of people that made this whole thing possible, and we're going to be talking about them. We're going to be hearing the musicians play. I see a comment from Todd Waldron, who's our amazing audio engineer who worked so hard on the live show and the post-production, and so many people to thank. I would like to be sure and thank Deborah Lewis, who I believe is watching tonight. Deborah gave the support to make this movie possible, and it was one of those miracles that happened at just the right time and allowed us to bring this forward and to be able to bring it to you tonight. So I'm going to get out of the way and pass it over to Joe, who's going to talk us into this film.
Thank you, Matt. This project began with an idea to listen, to try and understand, and create a platform for young people to share their truths, to share their experience, to look into their future and look with hope and look with fear and see that future and share those ideas with us. It's been such a tremendous privilege to work with Travis and go through a process of really listening. That culminated in a concert project in 2018, in the summer of 2018, which was called Dream, in which we, inspired by the words and the stories that we heard, I wrote a bunch of music, curated a bunch of music in collaboration with our artists and Travis, and it became a living concert experience. That transformed again with Alonso, our amazing director, and he synthesized that into the film that we're about to watch. So the words you're going to hear are young people in Austin from that time. The music that you're going to hear are amazing performers like Isaac Bustos doing this live in the moment. And what you will see is these gorgeous vignettes that Alonso made. I'm particularly excited to kind of navigate through this kind of wild space that we have shared. And so you'll hear us over the course of the film kind of talk a little bit, kind of share some insight, and also listen, because I think that's one of the most essential parts of this whole thing, is getting a chance to listen through music and to listen to the perspectives of these young people. So without further ado, I think it's time for us to start this movie, and we will start with Dream.
I've always had like trouble really feeling things. But then in my dreams, I've always felt so much. I've felt sometimes I've fallen in love in dreams, and I'm like, damn, that was a really nice feeling. Why can't I be like this in real life? Why can't I be like this always? I've just always felt so much more in my dreams.
Every day it's again closer, going faster than roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day it's again faster. Everyone said go ahead and ask her. Love like yours will surely come my way. Hey, hey, hey. Every day seems a little longer. Every way love's a little stronger. Come what may, do you ever long for true love from me? Every day it's again closer, going faster than roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way.
Wow. Well, it's so challenging to speak over this because I guess I'm just so wrapped up in it. What I think I would share to this point is we heard Katya, this amazing young person, sharing those ideas, and Dream One. The first of the three pieces that I wrote, and then Travis and Tatiana playing that perfect Buddy Holly song, and this amazing kind of spellbinding shapes that Alonso created, that slow motion into the space, and then actually getting to see a human being. So I think this is kind of a perfect place to start, that there are all these things kind of layering on top of each other. And I'd love, maybe we can start, Alonso, how you heard that music and where it took you for that beginning, for that Dream One, perhaps.
Sure thing. Let's see. So I know you and I had a conversation about the three different dreams, Dream 1, 2, and 3, and it's something I will want to ask you to talk about. And dream, it can be interpreted in so many different ways. What I decided to what inspired in me was a chance to inspire stillness and to celebrate little moments of beauty that surround us all the time. A moment between being completely alert and awake and being asleep, or daydreaming. The idea of daydreaming and getting lost in the beauty of dust being backlit, by the light that's coming through a window. Just a few months ago, I was cleaning my kitchen. I picked up a coat that had been sitting there for a couple of days, and there was this light streaming through the window, and it created this beautiful dance of dust that just kind of stopped me in my tracks and made me think, wow, this is beautiful. And those moments of realizing that there's so much beauty around us, it's kind of what I wanted to capture and what I wanted to invite the audience to participate in.
Barely 17. It's terrifying to think that I'm having to make decisions now that are just going to affect the entire course of my life. I don't know. Time is a scary thing.
I'm afraid of people. I'm really terrified of people, actually, because I don't know their intentions. I don't know if I can trust everybody.
What are they up to? Do they really want from me or from other people?
My body starts freaking out. I start shaking and getting sweaty around people, and I don't understand why.
Sometimes you're scared of people really knowing who you are. They tell you, speak your truth. Sometimes I'm afraid people don't really mean it.
My anxiety always pushed me to perfectionism.
Yeah, I don't know. I had to find myself by myself, and it was really hard for a long time.
You're just being attacked with thoughts in your mind.
It almost feels like you're trapped in a sense.
When I was a kid, I used to have really, really terrible OCD, anxiety, and I would be washing my hands so much that they were dry. It looked like I was 60 years old on my hands. I just started crying because I couldn't explain why I had to do that.
I'm just tired at this point. I almost feels like I can't really take anything else but happening.
Wow. Travis, I'd love for you to maybe talk a little bit about the interviews, and Lennox, you might be able to add to that as well. Just to call out, this is Chris Lizak, an AISD band teacher who is such an amazing collaborator and percussionist, and really just brought so much to us. It's poetry watching him play. And this is a piece called Dreamscapes by Patrick Long. Perhaps, Travis, could you talk a little bit about the interview process?
Sure. So about 7 months leading up to the performance, we started doing interviews with young people all around Austin, and the voices that you hear are 6 sort of core voices that you'll hear throughout the entire piece. Lennox is one of those voices, and the first voice you heard was Katya, and she's talking about her dream. She's this wildly imaginative, wonderful girl, and she was telling us about having a dream about feeling that she was in love and waking up and wishing that that feeling was still there, or that her world was like her dream. And I thought about what a perfect way to open this concert, because when I think and remember being a young person, there's this tremendous amount of longing and want, and I wasn't sure what to do about it. All I knew is I wanted so much, and it's a little bit sad, but it's also hopeful, and it was just a beautiful statement. And then that juxtaposed to the multiple voices we heard in the following clip, which was very quickly in these interviews this theme of anxiety and almost a reserved sadness to feeling like maybe they don't have control of the world that they are inheriting, or are stuck in some ways. So it's really challenging to hear those moments and know that each of the young people we see on a daily basis is internalizing and going through these things themselves.
Yeah, I specifically remember you looking at me when we were doing the interview in your office and asking me if I felt stuck. And I don't know why, but that particular question just really, really stuck with me, the way that you phrase that, because it really is something that brings people together in a really, not great way, but at least you're together,
Absolutely. And
I have
you,
recurring dreams too. Sometimes I dream like I'm deep in the sea. It's pretty dark, but there's some light, and I'm just kind of like floating. And I'm like, why am I here? And I'm not scared. Like you would think, oh, I'm alone in the ocean and it's dark, and I'm like, I would be scared, but I always feel really calm.
just a quick note about Katya again. Katya is a DACA recipient, wonderful young girl. Like I said, she is so funny. And if you need a visualization, I would say about half the time she's wearing a coonskin cap on her head, and is just wonderful and so poetic, as you can hear.
What we're hearing now is Terry Riley's NC, and the pieces that are on this program, some of which we did arrangements of, most of which we did arrangements of, except for the pieces that I wrote, and they're all transformations of their original form. Like that third piece we heard was Rothko Chapel. It was originally written for a viola, a choir, and percussionists, and totally transformed there. The pieces that Trav and Tatiana arranged are in totally new forms. The previous percussion piece was transformed, and this piece is about 7 minutes long, and it's this wonderful, meditative, slow-moving, fast surface speed, which I think Trav and I both felt was like such a perfect example of the feeling of being young, where everything's moving really fast and nothing's really moving, and it's so frustrating in that way. So full of potential. This piece is originally 40 to 70 minutes long in its original form, and I'm so curious, Isaac, you experiencing this piece, which is a different style of music than you normally play, this minimalistic American kind of improvisatory music, and that sense of waiting. Did you find that it was, did you recognize any things from your youth in this? What was your experience with this? And I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think the idea of all of these repeated patterns, right, that you can pick from when you play this piece, that's the sort of improvisatory element to it. I think at least about my youth when I was very young was the idea of, what am I going to do today? And I could just pick and choose whatever I wanted to do, whether it was, be a good boy and do homework, or, go outside and play with my friends. And so there was, I think, that kind of element to playing this piece, because, obviously we rehearsed it and I knew I had more or less kind of a plan, which of course kind of defeats the purpose of the improvisatory element, right? But I had kind of a plan of what licks I was going to select from. But then during the performance, I remember there were parts where I would be like, what if I played these two licks at the same time? And that kind of, I guess that's the improvisatory element that I brought to it, So I don't think it was necessarily a scary thing. I think it was actually absolutely exhilarating to do it, to have the freedom of deciding, like, right on the spot, what are you going to what you're going to do. And I think for many of us, our childhoods were just exactly that way, you know, like, what am I going to do now? Who cares? I'm just going to do this, you know, because I'm a kid. And so, you know, I don't know, hearing you talk about it is, it kind of brings me back, and it makes me rethink the way I was thinking about it then, from a different angle and a totally different perspective, which was that sort of childlike innocence of the piece. So yeah, so it was a great experience.
Lennox, do you? I mean, Trav and I talked about this at length, about this piece being about waiting, or you know, in that kind of space, and often being young is about waiting. Is that true for you, or was that true for you?
Oh yeah, I am kind of on that borderline with being 18 right now, but yes, it was and continues to be true, because I just have so many instances of remembering, darn, I can't do this because I'm too young. And then getting to certain points like, oh, I'm in 6th grade. I'm too old to play on that playground. Like, really? That sucks. And now I'm too young still to do these other things that I want to do. So this kind of trying to navigate this world where you're too big and too small for so many different things. And I think part of, you know, becoming more grown up, at least for me, I'm still discovering what the heck that is, and I think most people are. It's that, you know, when is this just a childhood thing, or is this going to be part of the rest of my life? Am I always going to be waiting? And I think I'm finding that the answer is that we will always have to wait. There are more limitations and more like strict restrictions on you when you're a kid with those things, so it feels more magnified. But I feel like that's kind of part of life, is waiting, you know, and learning when to be ambitious and say, no, this is stupid, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to be good enough or old enough for that. And when to be patient, because it's just not worth it, you know? So waiting is an interesting concept, but it definitely is magnified when you're a kid.
Wow. How well said. Thank you, Lennox.
The markings on your surface, speckled face.
So I'll jump in here. It's a good time to talk about Tatiana, who is one of my great friends, and had the opportunity to play with her for this show. Tatiana is a fabulous musician, continues to be a fabulous musician, and she was in one of our high school programs at McAllen High School, the Fine Arts Academy. So we've known her for many years. And in preparing for this concert, we were searching for a young person to represent her voice on this stage, next to Isaac and Jennifer and other world-class musicians, and a space to validate and show how important that her voice is to this production. So Tatiana and I worked for 6 or 7 months rehearsing these covers of songs that were especially important to her. And what I was thinking of is I asked her, what songs do you listen to in your room by yourself that are important to you? And what we're listening to right now is a Frank Ocean tune that she really, really loved. And for me, getting to sit behind her and play some electric guitar was just an absolutely beautiful experience. Getting to do the interviews with the young people, getting to co-artistic direct with Joe, and then play with Tatiana made this easily, the one of the most amazing performance and arts experiences I've ever had.
Trav, I remember going and visiting you guys in the rehearsal studio, and there was a profound transformation that Tatiana went through during your work together, and it was one of the coolest things to see, where she was a young artist who was trying, but her voice was just starting to bloom, and then to see it blow up was just like stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, she made so many just improvements, but all because these songs are so important to her, I think. And wow, her voice is beautiful now, right?
Absolutely. So we are seeing Isaac Bustos there on the left, playing guitar, Alejandro Montiel on the right. We have Jennifer Choi playing violin, Louis-Marie Fardet playing cello, and again, Crystal Isaac playing percussion. This is called Dream 2, and it is a little nightmare. It's fantastically, I guess I would say, unpredictable and playful, and maybe a little scary. I don't know. Isaac, would you say that's true? As that you played it, you have to play it. It might be scarier for you playing this.
Well, yeah, this was. Yeah, I mean, it does have a kind of a scary character to it. I would say there's some terror involved, but no, it's so funny to watch these things after the fact because. First of all, I don't remember any of these notes, but it's also absolutely exhilarating to kind of listen to the performance from outside the circle in which we were in, and this one is a particularly challenging piece rhythmically and technically. So I was probably terrified when I was playing this. So watching this now, and seeing, yeah, it's really kind of amazing and cool. Yeah.
We're seeing the footage, all of this, the actual video footage is from Arlen Nidam, who does so much of Austin Classical Guitar's video, and so masterfully shaped and created by Alonso. And the sound that we hear is just absolutely a tribute to Todd Waldron, who did so many beautiful things with this and worked diligently for the 9 months after we had done it to refine and make it shine the way it does. It's really extraordinary. To hear him make Isaac sound so darn good. That's not a hard job though.
No, it's very hard. It's very, very hard.
good times for a change. See the luck I've had can make a good man turn bad. So please, please, please.
Travis, I just want to say that this is such a beautiful arrangement. It is so much easier to be inspired visually when the music that you're creating an image to is inspiring. And this arrangement just blew me away. When you get a chance, I'd love to hear you talking about how your very simple and beautiful, sophisticated approach to these arrangements. Just so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm gonna just listen for a moment because it is a short tune, and then we'll talk about the music.
Seeing life I've had can make a good man bad. So for once in my life, let me get what I want. Lord knows it would be the first time. Lord knows it would be the first time.
So most of us know that tune, the Smiths, and Tatiana and I chose that. And again, I'm sort of revisiting that idea of being in your room by yourself. It's one that I
at the moment
associate with a lot.
I just want the direction of my life to be meaningful to myself and, more importantly, to other people.
Maybe the fear of mine is that I won't be able to live enough while I'm living. But maybe that's just me realizing that I'm like immortal and that I'm gonna die one day. And I just don't want to be disappointed like when the time comes.
And just a couple of last thoughts about that Smiths arrangement. Again, the idea of being in a room by yourself, that's kind of like what I might have played if I were learning that song. But I wanted to, get out of the way of Tatiana's voice and have it be just so crystalline clear. And secondly, I wanted the guitar parts to make sense next to what we're hearing now. In terms of sensitivity, there's so many small decisions. So I really appreciate that you like that arrangement, Alonso. And
We are hearing a piece called Change by Meredith Monk, a fantastic American composer who's still creating music. She wrote this piece originally for 4 voices, and it's a few lines of music that are repeated over and over. But in the course of it, it goes from this very rich sound that you're hearing now to what she describes as like the thinnest crystalline sort of sound. They transform the shape of the sound, and she describes it as the process of growing old, and you become stiffer and skinnier. And I think it's just such a perfect description of that sound here. You can see Chris Isaac bowing his vibraphone back there to create this hum. This is Reverie by Claude Debussy, and this is an arrangement made by Matthew Lyons, a fabulous Austin-based composer and in this case an arranger. I feel terrible talking over this because it's so beautiful, but I have questions. and Alonso, we've gotten to see some really just subtle and elegant visual gestures that you put together with the spinning top and Eitan Benavi, another member of the Austin Classical Guitar Youth Orchestra, walking down that street. Is there one of those that you'd like to talk about, or the NC painting, or what? Can you share something about one of those settings?
Yeah, I think in general, I was something that most of this music inspired, all of it inspired, is, as I mentioned earlier, contemplating beauty and intimacy. Go hand in hand when you can have those private moments. I think they all share these private moments of intimacy and contemplation, whether it's one person walking down the street by themselves or watching a top spinning. I actually, there's this toy store here in Austin, Terra Toys, where I take my daughter, and I love, every time I pass by the marble section, I just get transfixed by those marbles. I hold one in my hand and I just zone out. And I got that top there at that store, and I just love watching it. It brings such joy to me to get lost in these little things, just daydreaming, and I think that's something that I think unifies the visuals and that's inspired by all this music. Just this just inspiration for stillness and contemplation.
Yo espero que el mundo sea tan aburrido y simple como pueda ser. La verdad es que creo que estamos en un punto donde todos hemos pasado por mucho y hay muchos conflictos y muchos desastres, mucha gente que ha sufrido y espero que nada más tengan un descanso.
So we are hearing Jennifer Choi play Well Spent by Eve Belglarian, another living American composer. She's playing with an electronic tape. And this is just one of the most hypnotizing things I've ever seen.
I remember the feeling in the auditorium when she started this. It's such a digression from what we heard before. I mean, it overtakes you, and it gets louder and louder and just overwhelms in just a really beautiful way.
So this is a piece that after we had talked about the project and talked, I'd shared a bit about what some of the stories and some of the ideas that the young people had shared with Travis. And Jennifer shared many pieces, and this is one of the ones that just really just totally moved me. And there's a program note that goes along with it. The composer was traveling down the Mississippi River by kayak, and she thought of a quote by Leonardo, and that said, "The water you touch in a river is the last that is past and the first that is coming. So with the present moment, the well-spent life is long." And I love thinking about that idea of a life being long and well spent, and also her in this moment. She looks like a kid who is playing. She looks like a young person who's just playing a game, kind of the same way Alonso was talking about with that top. And that is just such a well spent moment in my perspective. It kills me every time, Travis. Just destroys me.
I quit my dreaming the moment that I found you. I started dancing just to be around you. Here's to thinking that it all meant so much more. I kept my mouth shut and opened up the door. I wanted nothing but for this to be the end, for this to never be a tight and empty end. If all the trouble in my heart would only mend, I lost my dream, I lost my reason all again. It's not just me for you, I have to look out too. I have to save my life. I need some peace of mind. I am the only one now. I am the only one now. I am the only one now. You may not be around. You may not be around. I am the only one now. I am the only one now. I am the only one now. I am the only one now.
We're not naive, we're not irresponsible, and we're just living our life in the best way we can.
Understanding that I can be a part of an adult world and not setting me aside because I'm just a kid.
Just because someone's still young doesn't mean that what they feel isn't valid.
Oh, you're young, you're naive, you don't have anything to worry about in life.
I feel like it's important now more than ever to listen to each other.
Young people have always gotten involved, and I don't know why it's so hard for some people to see that, we do care.
The youth is really trying to push change.
We're worried about our life too.
I'm kind of hopeful because as soon as you can't be ignored, that's when you start accomplishing things.
We want to live in a good place.
It's very hard to love the world without loving everyone in it.
We all take care of each other. And I think that's important to remember.
I feel really hopeful about the future and how we will make it better for everyone.
I'm so grateful to you guys. I feel so lucky to have been part of this. I mean, Matt, I think about ACG believing in this project. I think about making this possible. I think about Deborah Lewis being there in the audience when we first made it, and then making this possible. I just feel so incredibly lucky to work with you guys and to get to make things like this, which is, I think, one of our answers is, what good can music do? Is maybe help us listen better.
Yeah, the word that we chose this year for our season theme was together. And together, I think in a lot of ways was the thing that came from asking that question, which is a perennial question for us. What good can music do in the world today? And Dream is a product of togetherness. It is togetherness embodied, both in its process of creating it, and now in the product that has resulted. And it just gives me so much joy to watch these credits roll by. Think about the amazing and the other interesting thing, we talked about Matthew Lyons, who arranged the Debussy that we heard. We've been talking about Katya and Lennox, who's with us here on the panel, and Eitan and Justice Phillips, who we didn't hear from, but was in the shot. He was one of the actors there at the end. So
and
many.
Justice, the arranger, yeah.
Yeah, Justice arranged the Morton Feldman, the Rothko Chapel.
Fantastic. Thank you for pointing that out. And but I guess when I think about Isaac, you've been with us since the beginning since before the beginning of this project, but this project dating back to 2017 when we first did I We, and that led to Dream and then Together. But it's what's amazing to me is the relationships that have to be there in order for something like this to exist.
Hey, Matt, I think we have to transition back to the setting of where they can see us. So Eric, could you help us with that? And we can start with a Q&A.
Seeing some very nice comments in our chat, everybody. So thank you so much for putting those up there for us. And we're looking forward to answering some of your questions. Chime in with comments that you have, and we'll be reading those to the panel and having a great discussion here pretty soon about what your reactions are to experiencing this. And don't forget, you can also watch this movie in its entirety without us talking over it. So anytime you want to do that, the link for the movie is actually in the description of this YouTube event. So you can find it down below in the description, or you can just go to the YouTube page of Austin Classical Guitar and find it anytime. Watch it with your friends and tell everybody to watch it along with them. So as questions are brewing for you and as you're putting them into the chat for us, I've got a couple quick ones that I would love to ask. And Lennox and Isaac, I'm going to put you two on the spot, starting with you, Isaac, but it's a similar question, and that is about the length of the relationship that we've had together and what it's like to collaborate on a project like this. Isaac, for you, could you maybe reflect on the last 3 years working on this project? Kind of what's it been like for you, starting with I We and then up through Together this year?
I was listening to the last Dream that Joe wrote, and I think one of the things that really sticks out to me is the idea of transformation. For example, in Dream, I think about the way that Joe took the initial theme, this is now getting a little music nerdy thing, but the original theme and the first movement of Dream and how it comes back in this sort of like chant, and how, but it's all kind of the same, it's all the same material. And so having gone through all of these things, I think for me as a musician and as a performer is the transformation in my mind of how important it is to do what we do, and how that going through every single one of these events and every single one of these concerts, there's a transformation that happens across, right, across each one all throughout, but also every time we performed. I remember this, every time we performed, we'd go through, especially in Dream, we'd go through each show, and then you think like, okay, the first time it happens, it's like, oh, it's exhilarating, but then it happens again, like the next night or even the same night because we have to do it twice that night or the following day. And the transformation can be in many ways, like the transformation of how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the music, and also how you feel about the people that are making music with you. There's a transformation that occurs across time, which of course also leads to the connection that we keep talking about, between all of us, the connection with the audience, the transformation of the audience from the beginning of the concert to the end of the concert. Everybody's different, by the time it finishes. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me, having gone through each one of these events, is the transformative element, that music and these performances and the collaborative, efforts from the sound, from the projections, from the stage setup, that are so powerful, for people to experience, because there are words in these shows, but a lot of the music that complements those words is also what causes, right, those sounds that lead to an idea, that lead to an emotion, perhaps,
Mm.
um, yeah, and so everybody becomes changed at the end, um, and
That's
it's an amazing thing,
That's
so.
beautiful, Isaac. Lennox, I'd love you to just, you can chime in with anything you want, but I'd love for you to maybe even react to what Isaac was just talking about, because you've been with us through so many performance experiences as well, and seen things go from not ready for to perform to actually happening in front of people in real time. And then of course in a creative project like this, do you have any thoughts to share along those lines?
Yeah, I was just struck by the absurdity of being on a panel with people that I have been watching from the audience be on stage for years.
Mm.
So that's whoa. um but yeah, it's been beautiful. I don't know, just the way that just seeing that stories can be told like this, and that just the way that all of you guys put everything together is just absolutely insane to first be a spectator and then with together this year actually kind of start to be a part of the process and behind the scenes thing and just see how all these things blossom and grow and sometimes die momentarily and then get back up on their feet, and just I don't know. I'm just so blown away by, the emotions that I went through again just from watching the film for the second time. And it's just crazy that I can be here. I don't know.
Well,
I,
we're excited to have you, Joe. Yeah, pop in.
yeah, I mean, well, I think it's an absolute privilege to get to hear you share your perspective in the context of this piece. But I get to see it a lot, so I'm very lucky for that. But because we work together in the youth ensemble, but it is so lucky, and I think it's not impossible to encounter all the time from a lot of the people that we engage with. If we actually listen, there is something there, and I felt so lucky to be able to hear what you had to say about the future, about hope, about your personal challenges, because I can feel some of those too. Um, which yeah, I think that was a big one of the great takeaways from this from my perspective, was just opening up to listening to young people is a privilege, and it's such a good choice. It's
Joe,
such a good choice.
I'm gonna jump in here. We got a couple of great comments here in the chat. Melissa says, "Bravo, indeed, such a beautiful production. Beautiful, stays in my heart for sure." We've had a few people that saw the show live and are here watching with us now. And that's fantastic. Elvis Bendanya says, "Congratulations for this amazing project. I was in the live performance and it was incredible. I like a lot of the work that ACG is doing, which is great. Thank you so much, Elvis." He's got a comment I want to read and then a question for you, Joe. He says, "I think it is meaningful for the community and for the art itself in finding different ways of integrating different arts. And that has a lot of value." And then he says, "In terms of composition, what was the biggest challenge that you faced while you were going through this process?" So maybe Joe, you could give us a little insight into that.
I think the greatest challenge, I think Travis and I both worked with this, is to start with nothing, start at zero, listen to these young people and the stories that they're sharing, and try and create a structure from them. So that was very stressful and very scary, but that's okay. That's a good thing, because it means that we could discover something that we would never maybe just pull out as a given. So there were a lot of layers. I think you can hear maybe just from the conversations that you heard now of ways we were thinking about the pieces themselves, ways we were hearing about the collaborators and Tatiana and Lennox and Isaac, of course, Alonso interpreting all these things, but in the course of the musical structure, looking at things we know. I could give a very simple example. We chose Dream as the medium of this. So we have, by going into a dream, we were disarmed to listen more completely. We can encounter ideas that maybe were harder to experience. It might be harder to listen to your son or daughter in real life, or your sister or brother, or a stranger who's young. But in a dream, you might accept some wisdom and thought there. So that medium allowed us to explore these things. And that kind of set a framework for the music itself. The 3 pieces that I wrote are called Dream. And literally, it took a long time for me to discover this, but the idea that we would enter into this in a dream. And so this opening is an absolute descent. It's funny, Alonso, I wanted to ask you, because your video goes up, 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 and the music just goes down, down, down to this, what I would describe as a subconscious place, a fragmentary place that is like dreams. So that's a simple description of maybe just the first piece. But there's all of these different musical and structural and relationship based ideas that are threaded throughout there that is a combination of all the collaborators that contributed in that capacity.
Alonso, do you think you might be able to speak? I'd love to. We're going to wrap up here by 8:30. We're probably going to wrap up, but you maybe could I answer almost a similar question? And I don't know if it has to be about challenges, could be, or just about the process of coming into this project, being given so much material to think about, and then how do you translate that into a visual medium?
Right. Well, as I did mention earlier, I was very fortunate that the content, the music was already so beautiful and so inspiring that it made it easy for me to kind of come up with visual ideas to accompany it. At the same time, I had too many, and I wanted to just fill the whole thing with a full-length film. But with that's not what we could do at the time. So I selected specific pieces for which I wanted to create vignettes. That was my first draft, and then those pieces changed, and then they kind of moved around, and it was really a joy. It was really kind of a dream project. Sorry, but but because it was a very collaborative piece with Joe and Travis, and you guys were very. I think we were all very in tune from the beginning, and any counter ideas that came or any other suggestions were very much in line with what I had taken away from you guys, from the music and from the programming, and the conversations that Joe and I had about the dreams 1 and 2 and 3 were very inspiring as well, and it just kept growing, and it was really quite a special collaboration. I really enjoyed it, and I was very happy to watch it again. Having had a bit of distance from the last time I watched it, because we were editing them until the last minute, and exporting until the last minute. So when we projected it last time, there was the whole stress of delivery and being at the movie theater at a specific time. So I took some time. So I haven't seen it since.
It came down to the last minute, and a huge thanks again to Todd Waldron and Eric Pearson and Alonso's team. Oh my God.
So now I've been able to shed that association from it, and it's really, I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna watch it again this week without our commentary, yeah. So anyway, my experience was very positive. I'm very, very happy with the experience and with how it turned out.
You were so sensitive also, Alonso, in doing that transformation, coming from like a 3D experience of being in a concert hall. The original featured some beautiful projections by Tobias Rodriguez, and there was lighting done by Natalie George, and you can see some of Natalie's lighting in the film, but really to come from a 3-dimensional space to a 2-dimensional space was a real impressive distance to travel. It was amazing to see, Alonso.
Thank you. It was fun.
So perhaps for the final word here, Travis, I'd love to head over to you. Martha Hilly has a lovely comment. She says, Travis, your accompaniments for Tatiana spoke volumes about the amount of respect you have for her, one musician to another. Martha, of course, is a wonderful musician here in Austin, and so I guess I'd just love to open the door up for you to talk a little bit about relationships in general, or this project, and kind of you do so much amazing work connecting with people and relating to people. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Martha. Martha is a former teacher, a friend, a wonderful musician, and I remember the moment you were talking about when you came down after the show and spoke to Tatiana and I. And Joe can tell you we've done 3 shows like this, and I have a very complicated relationship with the art that I make, that I personally make. But what I've found in this process and working at ACG in general is that if at the center of it is personal connection, which is the most important thing to me, if that's the task, and then the art is just an expansion of that moment that we have together, then it becomes a really beautiful thing for me to be a part of. I mean, every person that I spoke to, all of the interviews, all of the musicians, it's like the most perfect little snow globe of an experience, and you can peer in and see this beautiful movie that Alonso made. And it's such a memory for me, all because of the people and their spirits in this space. It's like it's just such a wonderful thing to be a part of. And what we hope is that everyone in this audience gets a little glimpse of that in being a part of it. So yeah, that's my experience with these, and I really look forward to a time in the future when I can be in a room with everyone here and with people again, But for now, this is wonderful.
Thank you so much, Travis. I am so grateful to all 5 of you for doing this with us and for being with us tonight and sharing your insights and your experiences of making this project and your reflections on it. So glad that we got to share it with everyone watching and for hopefully all those people who are going to watch it in the future as it will live on online. So please come see us anytime at Austin Classical Guitar. We're going to do some more of these. We have some listening excursions that are on our website that you can enjoy anytime. That's at austinclassicalguitar.org. And our watch parties are linked from there as well. And we've had 2 so far. This is our 3rd one, and we actually have some more planned. If you're not on our email list and you'd like to come hang out with us some more, we're going to be rolling out some more programming here very, very soon, maybe as soon as this weekend, if not very soon after that. So stay tuned there and get on our email list. Just you can find that everything on our website. Most importantly, is to keep smiling when you can. Find those moments of beauty and significance, and reach out to us anytime. We hope that this has been a bright spot for you, a chance to really see something beautiful made by a community for the community. And I know that we at ACG are just so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you, and grateful really for the opportunity that we have had all this time to explore togetherness, to make beauty, to make music. So come see us again anytime. Thank you for watching. It is 8:30 and we are going to say goodbye. So appreciate you all for being with us tonight.